It is so crazy. I was struggling to get people to tune into my channel to stay longer than 15 seconds, and then bam, suddenly they're sticking around a whole lot longer. And I had no idea. Like, I knew the dual angle was like a lot more professional looking. It kind of has a documentary feel, if you will. But I had no idea that it was actually going to help my retention that much more on my separate channel where I talk about addiction and recovery. So I kind of wanted to dive in just into a little bit of the specifics on how I implemented this. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's happening behind the scenes. And you will absolutely have to forgive me for the mess I have, but I wanted to give you a feel for my setup because I have some really high-end gear here. But it's not about the gear, it's about the setup itself. You could replace these two cameras with really anything and still have a good feel as long as you have a good lens that captures that blurry background. But I have here the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K Pro, which is always a mouthful, and then the Blackmagic Studio Camera 6K Pro, which recently came out. I went ahead and pulled the trigger on these two cameras, and you'll see that the little tally marker on top will actually turn red whenever it switches to the feed of that camera. So I always know which camera it's switching over to. And then on the main camera, I have a teleprompter feed that is showing what's going on my computer. So right now I have OBS pulled up. I can see what's going on in OBS, but if I needed to, I could switch over, look at Logic Pro or look at my ATEM mini software. And so I've got that going. And then additionally, I can always run a script, read off the script, and you would never know it because I'm making solid eye contact. And yeah, I do fairly well reading off a teleprompter anyways. And so these two camera feeds are actually running into my ATEM Mini Pro. And then that is running into the Ultra Studio 4K. Now, I do feel like saying, because it looks a little redundant going from here to there, into my computer, but the reason that I do this is actually because DaVinci Resolve will allow you to color grade live, but only if you have a piece of tech like this. You'll also see that I have the Claret 8 Pre as well as a couple of cables running around here. I try to keep it neat, but to be honest, man, it's a bit of a hassle, especially when all of this stuff is subject to change within a week's notice. So I'm kind of hesitating before I start to clean things up around here, just because I know, like, I'm probably just going to change it in a week here. So anyways, and to give you an idea as far as how the software is working, I have my ATEM software control pulled up, which actually allows you to run macros. And so you'll see that I have loop the feeds set to auto loop, and then I'm playing it. So it's actually running on a loop of 45 seconds from the side angle and then 15 seconds from the front angle. And that's because I like the side angle better. I feel like it helps retention a lot more. And then you'll see that I have Logic Pro here that has a noise gate, EQ, gain, compressor, limiter, all running my vocals through. Let me see if I can pull up the audio settings here. So you'll see that it's coming from the Claret 8 Pre, but then it's going to an aggregate device. And so you look here, you'll see that the aggregate device is actually a combination of this software called Black Hole, as well as my Claret 8 Pre. That's just so I can output the audio from Logic Pro into OBS itself, as well as be able to listen to it in my monitors and my headphones through the Claret 8 Pre. Additionally, if we take a look at OBS, we will see that in the preferences, I have set the output streaming video bitrate to 4000, and then I've changed the video encoder to hardware Apple H264, as well as in the recording settings, I've also changed the recording format itself to .mp4, that's MPEG-4, and then the video encoder to hardware Apple H264, just like the streaming options. And that just gives the video the justice that it deserves when it's being imported, because if you do the stock settings in OBS, the video just won't quite look right. It'll look like a little choppy, a little compressed, a little noisy. It's just not going to look that good. And so I've noticed quite a few benefits of having this dual angle camera setup being recorded directly onto the computer. Namely that it is actually super easy for me to re-record anything I need to re-record, or to record additional content to be able to splice into the content that I already have. And like all it takes is for me to start recording on OBS, and then once I hit stop, the video file is already there in the movies folder. I don't have to unplug any of my gear. There's the video file. It's like, it's ready to go into Final Cut Pro. And if I make any mistakes, as I have, because I don't like to stutter and stumble all over the place, and unfortunately I do that quite a bit. So if I do that, then I can just make sure that I cut out the stuttering and stumbling, and you only see a cut from one camera to the other, and that's all you see. And occasionally I do indeed have to just make a jump cut from the same angle, but to be honest, it is not that big of a video killer. So to me, when I can, I will make sure that it's a smooth transition. But if not, like, hey, listen here, I am trying to get these videos out. I'm not trying to be a perfectionist about it, although my ego wants me to be, although my perfectionism is strong. To be able to get in front of this camera and just make it look as good as it can possibly look. It's like, I don't need to sync up the video files. I don't need to do any of that. And it has its visual appeal. I mean, sure, you could record on both cameras and then sync it up in Final Cut Pro, and then find the exact transitions to be able to like get the best transitions possible during your video. But to be honest, I don't want that. I'm a one-man band here. I have two cameras, an ATEM Mini. I've got my audio. I've got my lighting. I've got way too many things going on for me to just have to like focus in on all of that stuff while also trying to focus in on the content itself, on my performance in front of the camera. So for me to be able to have these angles on a loop, and then the audio is good, everything is going into the computer and it's being recorded directly onto OBS, I don't have to worry other than doing some minimal, very minimal editing on the back end once a video is recorded. Guys, these videos practically make themselves now. And so my personal philosophy is to do the hard work on the front end so that you can automate on the back end. And since adopting this setup, it maybe takes about 3 to 4 minutes for me to set up the camera slider, turn the cameras on, make sure that my laptop is plugged in, and that all of the stuff on Logic Pro and then OBS is opened and then recording. But once that happens, it's go time. And I can sit here for hours at a time if I want and just keep recording. And so this is by far, hands down, the best setup I have ever used. It's automated. It records directly onto the computer, but I can record it on the camera separately in 6K file format, and then I could upload different LUTs to the cameras so that I can color grade and have it come into the box. That's still something that I'm kind of hashing out as I go, but to be able to get in front of this 2-camera setup and just know that whatever happens, like, it's not the video itself, it is not the quality of the video that's going to put a damper on my views. It is me. So it actually brings me a lot of comfort to be able to know that whenever the viewer clicks, they are going to stay based on the quality of what I have to say rather than the quality of the video itself. So anyways, guys, this is not the be-all, end-all of YouTube studio setups. I mean, I'm just a guy with a couple of cameras. I am learning as I go, and I wanted to share what I'm learning at this point because I haven't made it yet, but I'm on my way. So if you got anything from this video, hit like, do the subscribe thing. My name is Daniel with Church Cinematics, and I will see you in the next one.